Hey guys, Barrett here. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be teaching you and showing you one of the most important skills to understand in your battle against the bangers. Stay tuned. So it's a common theme that I see in my lessons and in my just general conversations with people every single week. A lot of pickleball players, especially in the 3-0 and 3-5 areas, get really frustrated with bangers, and there's one skill that you have to learn. So let me show you what that looks like now. Okay, so what you just saw, I know it looks real simple and real easy. There's a lot going on behind the scenes when it comes to doing these kinds of shots. What I am doing, the general strategy, the general overview of what this is I had someone banging really hard shots at me from the baseline, and I was diffusing that pace, right? That's the key to beating a banger or a pair of bangers, especially if they're like tennis players. You have to learn how to diffuse the ball, diffuse the pace, take pace off the ball, okay? And there's two things that you have to have in order to do that. A soft grip, so soft hands, and you have to have control over your swing or lack of swing, as I will explain. If you're a pickleball player only, and especially if you haven't played any other sports like this, then it's gonna be really tough going up against bangers. This is how you handle that situation. Number one is the grip. A lot of people have a death grip. So again, if you haven't come from tennis, or even if you haven't come from like golf, having the proper kind of grip is going to be a challenge for you. So oftentimes what I see is people have this ungodly death grip. Do you see? Look at my pinky right there. You see that? That's all the blood running out of my hand. I am squeezing this thing really hard right now, okay? So if I let go, you see how the color comes back into my fingers? That is what you want. Having a death grip on this thing when you're blocking shots is going to ensure that you'll pop up the ball, which is exactly what the banger wants, okay? So the other thing is that when you have a death grip, you're extending the surface area of your paddle. So your arm becomes your paddle because they're connected. Whereas when you have a really soft grip like this, now you're taking all the muscle in your arm and in your wrist and so on completely out of the equation. It allows the ball to impact into the paddle and let the paddle do the work, okay? So whenever the ball hits the paddle will bounce backward, right? And all the force that went into the paddle isn't gonna go into your arm, then back into the ball. This is why people pop up the ball all the time. It's because they have this death grip, okay? So let me show you some clips on what that looks like. Okay, so check out this clip here. Notice how whenever the ball is hitting the paddle, you can actually slightly see the paddle jumping backward. Okay, that's what you want to see. What that means is that it's basically ensuring that my grip is really soft. Again, the harder and tighter your grip is, the more the ball is going to explode off the face. So as you can see, whenever the ball hits, the paddle moves backwards. This means that less force is going into the ball, and thus you can successfully diffuse a ball that's hit really hard at you. Okay, here's another really good angle when it comes to the soft grip thing. So notice how when these balls are coming in, notice the impact of the paddle. You can actually see the paddle move. The reason why you can see the paddle move is, again, because my grip is so soft that I'm letting all of that force be diffused. And that's why all these balls are just lightly, like look at that one. Do you see that one? They just sort of lightly bounce into the kitchen. Now, of course, I'm not making all of them. I mean, these are pretty hard shots. But as you can see, I'm diffusing the ball, which makes it unattackable. You can almost think of it as a third shot drop, basically, right? Because the whole point of a third shot drop is to make the ball unattackable, right? These block shots do the exact same thing. Okay, so the second most important thing to understand here, and the final point that I want to make, is that there's no swing in this stuff. Okay, what you see a lot, and especially with tennis players, is that when a hard ball is coming at you, people have this tendency to swing at it. Now, if it's slow enough, and if it's high enough, then you can do a punch volley or a smash and drive it back at them. That's no problem. But when you're at the kitchen, and especially if they're at the kitchen and they hit a hard ball at you, you do not have time to swing all the way back and then all the way through. That's just not gonna happen. So when you watch me doing these block shots, notice what happens. Okay, let's look at this clip real quick. This is a real good close-up. Notice, first of all, look at my ready position. My paddle is out in front of me. I'm ready at all times for either a forehand or a backhand drive, okay? And the second thing is that whenever I make contact with the ball, I freeze. So I stick my paddle out. There's no backswing. Like, look at my elbow. My elbow never goes behind me. It's always out in front of me. I move the paddle into the path of the ball. I freeze. I have a really soft grip. And that's how you diffuse the ball. That's how you create these unattackable balls, which will eventually be used to defeat bangers. Okay, so just a few closing thoughts here. Again, like I said earlier, if you don't come from a sport that really relies on a soft grip, soft hands, or like finesse and touch and stuff like that, this is going to take a while to get used to, but luckily it's really easy to drill. So you just have someone in no man's land or at the baseline hit really hard balls at you. And all you gotta do, have soft hands, a nice soft grip, right? Don't death grip that paddle. Get the paddle in the way and let the paddle do its thing. Don't swing at it, don't punch it. Just let the ball impact the paddle, freeze, right? Pretend like you're just frozen and let that ball just dink right into the kitchen. It's a really easy thing to drill. I highly, highly encourage you to start drilling this. It is so important, especially if you're in that 3-0 and 3-5 area. It's really gonna help you get into those 4-0 and even those 4-5 games. Oftentimes what I see is that people who are in that 3-5 area, they're really good at dinking. They're really good at it. Okay, so what comes up most often is I'll be doing a group lesson or something and it'll be like an absolute bang fest. And someone will say, hey, it's kind of getting bangy in here. Let's get to the dinking game. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, sure. But they can't do it, right? They don't get to that point. And the reason is there's a transition. If you want to go from banging to dinking, you have to learn how to take pace off the ball. So I hope that this video has helped you guys in your journey to start to kind of do this a little bit more often. It's really going to help. Of course, if you want to see more, you can go to pickleballkitchen.com. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't. Let me know what you think, guys. And of course, if you start to drill this thing and start to try it out, I'd love to hear how it's going for you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.